Hello, Joe. How are you?
Good morning. Very well, Victor. And you?
Doing fantastic. Hey, everybody,
Excellent.
this is Victor and Joe. We are going live on LinkedIn Live and on different social media. And we're here to understand how Joe Woodward has produced this fantastic way of doing his own business. Joe, I'm going to allow you to articulate it more effectively than I can do so. Tell us about Delicious English and how did you get started? So, what is Delicious English?
So Delicious English is based basically around my love of three things, which is training, food, and language as well. And so what we do, we're taking the base of food and gastronomy. We offer three services basically. So we offer team building with gastronomy. So this is all in English as well. So team building in English with food. We offer events like, for example, show cooking for cultural connections. So people, maybe sort of foreigners or newcomers to Barcelona can understand the culture through food, which is so important in Barcelona, Victor, as you know. And also improving language skills through cooking and through food. So like an alternative and different fun way to improve your English or Spanish or Catalan skills.
Okay, just so avoidance of doubt. So when you say gastronomy and cooking, are you teaching people to cook as they are learning English or language skills or they're training?
Well, cooking it's a way of doing. So it's very much like a tool. So cooking is like an excuse. The idea is you use something which is sort of like everyday use, practical and fun to develop other skills. So be it cohesion within a group or cultural knowledge or English language fluency. So cooking and food is always there, but it's not, we don't do complicated things. It's not a question of that, but it's a question of doing something fun, which people enjoy. And also, eating and having a good time.
And so, well, how do you differentiate yourself from the competition?
Well, basically, it's the way that we do it. So through using food and gastronomy, then I don't want to compete with like English academies, for example. And they teach the basics, and that's great. Mine is complementary. It's more interactive, and it's more like in a real life situation. And the same with team building. What we like to do is take people sometimes out of their offices to do something which needs teamwork and needs cooperation, but it's not work based. We might be making, I don't know, like a simple cold recipe or tasting wines or beers. So it's something not related to work, but does need teamwork.
Well, you just touched on something. I find that the more beer I drink, the better my German and Dutch get.
Absolutely. It's scientifically proven as well, Victor, that I'm not sure what happens with 4 glasses of wine, but with 1 glass of wine, your language skills improve slightly. I think it's something to do with, with self-confidence and lack of embarrassment.
Okay. Well, can we tell you, how did you get started?
Well, I originally came to Girona many years ago, like in '94. I started work as an English teacher. Then I came to Barcelona, working as an English teacher for a few months. And then my background is in science. So I started in a multinational pharmaceutical company. And I was there for a long time. I was there for 18 years. 5 of those in the training department, which is where I sort of felt most comfortable, really. And then in 2015, I had enough a little bit of the company. And so I left. I took a sabbatical, and then 2017, I started the idea of Delicious English, combining my sort of passion for food, the fact that I'm English and doing things in English, and the training. So those are the 3 things I combined, and Delicious English was born in 2017.
Okay. And are most of your classes in person or online?
Well, that's an interesting question. Until March 2020, they were in person. and then obviously we got COVID and we got lockdown, which forced me to sort of rethink the business a little bit and to offer what I offer online. So now I can do those 3 services. So team building, cultural events, and English through food. I can do them either in person or online. So, I mean, COVID is obviously terrible, but it helped me sort of rethink my business a little.
Does that mean I'm envisioning somebody in their kitchen working on cooking, I don't know, a savory meal or a dessert or a pastry, and in the process, you're speaking to them in English on how to get it done and improving their enunciation and their pronunciation? Are the people who take your course beginners, or do they tend to have already a base level?
They tend to have a base level. So my classes and my courses are more efficient if you have like an intermediate level. So if you're talking sort of language skills, then like a B1. Basically it's what you said. So the idea is I guide them through it. I mean, I talk, but only as much as necessary. So the idea is for them to talk as well. It's student speaking time is very important here. So I give them the instructions. I send them like the recipe a few days before, and then we cook together. And the idea is it's my job as like a facilitator to stimulate the session and get them communicating, get them talking. And obviously, you know, at the end we'll look at pronunciation and correct small grammar mistakes. But the idea is fluency, basically.
All right, sounds like a lot of fun. When can you give a little bit more of an example of the team building? What does a team building, I guess, project look like with Delicious English?
So a team building project, I can give you an example, which we did recently. We worked for we did a job for a tech company, and they wanted a team building session they had 60 employees. And so what we did, we combined that, we mixed the groups. So normally we do group work. They had a simple recipe, but with some information. They didn't all have the same information. And so they had to successfully prepare the dish. They had to share information between them. Okay. And they also had to sell their dishes. Okay, so points were awarded. Sometimes we sort of factor in a little bit of competitiveness. Points were awarded for the actual look of the dish, but also for the selling of the dish. Okay, because this was a company in which the salesmen had like an important role. And then we had like a feedback session. A positive feedback session, again, in English, and using some interesting adjectives to describe colleagues. So quite advanced adjectives, but always like with a positive feedback slant. And so that gave them, you know, there's a feel-good factor here as well. So you're working in a team towards a common goal and like with a joint sense of accomplishment.
Cool. And what would you say is the biggest challenge in your work?
The biggest so I think for me, the biggest challenge, because this isn't something which is very common, then the biggest challenge is sort of painting the picture in the potential client's mind, really, of how it could work, you know. Also because I mean, I try to contact people and speak to human resources. So it's I don't know, maybe the novelty or the newness of my services, you know, I have to paint the picture quite well.
Okay, and do you mostly target here in Spain, or do you now that you have an online model, did that open up a global audience that perhaps you didn't really pursue before?
Yeah, potentially, absolutely, Victor. Yeah. I mean, mostly my clients are you know, Spanish, are from here, but I've recently been working on a proposal for Bogota, so a company in Bogota, to do a team working event in English. So yeah, I mean, the potential is incredible now.
That sounds like fun. You could teach them something British and they could teach you how to make arepas, or you know, you can
Exactly.
go to Mexico and you can do some good tacos or burritos there.
Yeah. I think I do the other. I think I do the English dishes for them. If I had to do tacos for Mexico, I'm not sure whether that would.
Oh no,
I'm
I
not
say
sure
that they
that would
could
work.
practice, since you mentioned that the student, if you will, needs to be fully engaged in speaking. They could talk about something that they understand or that they know, a food that they're familiar with, you know, with a lot
Absolutely.
more confidence than perhaps ingredients or a product that they're not that familiar with.
Sure, but I mean, so what I find, Victor, is food gives you a great lead in. So I can sort of talk about a typical dish or a typical ingredient from, I don't know, from Barcelona or from the UK. Okay. But then just with a simple question, you know, what's the equivalent? What's something similar, you know, where you are? Then, you know, people are very forthcoming in their opinions and their comments. So that's great.
And I understand that you're going to be at the International Community Day. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yes, Saturday, the 22nd of October in the Maritime Museum, 10:45 to 11:45 in room 5. And so the idea there, because most of the public there, as you know, Victor, I think you're an ambassador, actually. Yeah,
I
most
am
of
an
the public
ambassador.
there, most of the public there are sort of they're foreigners, the international community. So I'm going to be doing a session in which we talk about Catalonia, and we're going to be like showcasing some of the most typical sort of ingredients or products around Catalonia. It's a sort of a cultural connection. Not exactly show cooking because it's going to be interactive. So basically, together we're going to prepare a few local ingredients, and in doing so, learn a little bit more about where we live.
And is there anything that we can do to help you, the English speaking community or Barcelona Metropolitan?
Is there anything? Well, I mean, you know, at the moment I'm working on diffusion and getting myself out there a little bit, and so you know, any help in that regard would be much appreciated.
Okay. Well, as our community knows, we're here always looking to add value to the English speaking and international community of Barcelona. We like to feature entrepreneurs that are doing something different. I had not heard of somebody teaching English while helping you cook. So at the end of your lesson, a person can have a lovely meal and you know, exchange cultural interpretations. And as you said at the beginning, there's nothing better than food to really bring cultures together and to share it. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us here, Joe.
It's been a pleasure, Victor.
Okay. Talk to you soon. I'll see you at the International Community Day. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We're here for you.
Thanks very much. I'll see you on the 22nd.
See you then.